3 for the methods of instruction under the Advanced Non-Commissioned Officer course, St. John Brigade Zone 10, Singapore. This third part, we'll be talking about lesson delivery, which is the in-classroom situation. The objectives of these lessons are, after this lesson, you'll be able to make necessary preparations before lessons, employ the use of effective voice projection and posture, engage in good interactions with your trainees, and manage the pace and flow of the lesson. Okay, I think we will be splitting up our content into several parts. I think in terms of instruction, one of the hallmark of a good instructor is that he is confident. Confident as in he knows what he's talking about, he's in control of the situation, but humble when he encounters his own mistakes. Okay, I think for every instructor out there in this NCO course, one of the biggest things that you can help yourself with is to study up before conducting the lesson itself, because it can get really embarrassing at times when you don't really know what you're talking about, you say the wrong things, and you cannot answer the questions that were posed by the trainees. That is actually quite undesirable because it shakes the confidence in you as an instructor. The trainees might not trust you in future as an instructor because they don't think you know or have the necessary knowledge to be the instructor. So studying up is always good. Next is the voice and the posture. Voice and posture is a very important part of instruction because you're standing in front of the classroom and everybody's looking at you. I have seen a few NCO trainees who do not have good voice and posture, but the majority generally can get quite okay with it with some experience. I'm just going to touch on a few tips and strategies here. First, breathe deeply. Okay, if you're already hyperventilating, that is a bad idea. Okay, just take deep breaths, relax yourself, don't get nervous. Try not to, at least, and breathing deeply will help to reduce the level of anxiety inside you. Okay, then take an expensive stance. Expensive not in the sense that it costs money, but expensive as in wide, tall. Okay, because this gives you a sense that you're not hunching and that you're not feeling scared. 3, speak slowly. The faster you speak, the more it shows that you're actually very nervous and anxious. Okay, take your time, let your words sink in. In fact, sometimes you might even want to give a short pause after you finish your sentence so that the kind of meanings that you're trying to transmit reaches your trainees. But at the same time, you have time to think about what is the next thing you're going to say. Number 4, make eye contact. Okay, this is actually a skill. Of course, I'm not asking you to stare at one particular trainee. You should at all times check, especially for those at the far corners of the classroom. So for example, the people sitting in the first row but on the left and on the right, your blind spot. The people sitting at the far back left and the far back right, who are too far to be seen. Sometimes it will be a good idea for you to move around, okay, just to let them feel your presence in the classroom. Okay, the last tip here, number 6. Sorry, I removed number 5 because I don't agree with it and I don't think it's necessary. But number 6, pause. Get comfortable with silence. This is important because the more you are scared of silence, the more anxious you feel. And sometimes we don't have very good things to say to fill up the silence anyway. In fact, silence can often be a very good tool to use when you feel like your trainees are not respecting you and they are chattering away. Just stare at them silently. Okay? The point will sink in, they will get the clue. Okay, regarding voice projection, some of you have really small voices, and I think it's really about how you use your lungs and your diaphragm to actually project your voice. Trust me, the size of your person has nothing to do with your voice. You might be a very small, petite young lady, okay, but you can definitely project a loud voice. It's really about how much air you put through your vocal cords. And so if you don't already know how to, I would suggest that you Google online and look for diaphragm voice projection. Okay, the methods there might be helpful to you, and it's really like you can feel it when you talk. The kind of breathing in and out through your stomach, okay, using the stomach muscles and diaphragm as projection. I won't be able to teach much about this online, so this is really dependent on your skill. I would say that this is very, 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 very important, because if your trainees cannot hear you from the back, then no matter how well you plan your lessons, it doesn't matter, because they would have heard nothing about it. Okay, moving on to the next part, being in control. Being in control of what? In control of the trainees. So I have my own set of rules. This is an example one I found online, but I think it applies pretty much to every single classroom, and I think you can learn from this set of rules. Okay, you have to set clear expectations and rules that your trainees have to follow. If they break it, there will be consequences. Okay, the punishment or rewards is up for you to establish, but you must always set the boundaries of what is acceptable behavior and attitude. So in this case, come to class prepared, be ready to learn and participate, turn off and put away every personal electronic device. This is important, because if they are using handphones in class, oh goodness, you will never get their attention. Okay, 3, never give up. Never give up means they have to keep trying. Okay, they should be answering your questions as much as they can. Okay, be respectful. When I talk, you don't talk. When you talk, I don't talk. This is a mutual respect. Try to practice, as an instructor, try to practice the habit of not cutting short your trainees unless necessary. Okay, listen to him while he talks. Ask other trainees to listen to him while your trainee talks. Okay, but same thing, when you talk, they have to keep quiet. Okay, asking questions through raising your hand, or are they allowed to just voice out their questions? Okay, you have to set the rule there. 6, listen and follow instructions and directions. This is up to you to decide how you want to word this. Okay, basically, rules are there as a guideline. I would not suggest that you put, if you break this rule, you will have to pump 20. No, let's not be too eager to set punishments. Okay, just set the rules first, and if they break the rule, follow up with your own punishment later. 2, being in control means watching your trainees, checking their responses. Are they paying attention? If they are not, it might not be entirely their fault. Okay, because if one person is not paying attention, that's most probably his fault. But if all 20 trainees are not paying attention, it means that your lesson is boring as hell. And if your lesson is boring, whose responsibility is that? It's yours. And you have to do something to fix it. Not scold them, okay? But try and fix it. Put in more active components, ask questions, interact more, involve them more. That is the skill of an experienced instructor. Okay, don't worry if you can't do it straight away, but eventually you have to be able to spot among your trainees who has become lost and who needs some questioning to come back to the class lesson. Also, another thing that is important is make sure that your trainee is able to see and hear what is happening. So one very important thing always that happens before lessons is you would check, far left corner, far right corner, can you all hear what I'm saying? If yes, okay, safe. Can they see what is happening? If yes, okay. This is especially important in demonstrations. If you're going to demonstrate something small and you ask them to squeeze and gather, so they're going to come to the front, and then a whole bunch of people at the back won't be able to see what's happening because the front people are blocking their view. And that's not good. So when you do demonstrations, you have to make sure that everybody is positioned in such a way that you can see them and they can see you. Another big issue that always happens to new instructors, okay, you overrun or underrun. You spend too much time or too little time, and that is also not good. Why? Because if you spend too much time, your lesson cannot be completed. If you spend too little time, honestly, I suspect there's a chance that you explain the concepts too briefly and the understanding might not have been very deep. Okay. Moreover, you have to find something to do using the leftover time. Okay, so being able to control the pace of your lesson is a very crucial skill. Being in control also means that you are patient. What do we mean by that? If a trainee cannot answer your question, is it an issue of ability or is it an issue of attitude? If it's an issue of attitude that he or she just does not want to try, then there's a reason for us to be upset with them. But if it's an issue of ability, then the responsibility is with us. Okay? So you need to be patient and provide step-by-step clues. Don't give the answer straight away. Okay? An impatient instructor will always be like, okay, the answer is this. No, you have to guide them through the learning and thinking and the thought process of how to arrive at the correct answer. Okay, so you need a lot of patience. And being well prepared will help you be more patient with your trainees. If you're always so anxious and you're always short of time, then it's very hard for you to be patient. Okay, so being patient is a so-called a summed up condition of all the things that we have previously talked before. Next, follow up on blind spots. What does this mean? Every now and then there will always be trainees who ask questions that you're not able to answer. It will be very good questions, but you just don't know the answer. In those cases, what do? You have to just acknowledge that, one, it's out of the scope of today's lessons and you really do not know. Okay, two, that you will follow up on this blind spot and you will actually let him or her know the answer the next time you meet. Okay, so there's a Chinese saying, if you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. Okay, acknowledging what you know and what you don't know is also a kind of wisdom. Okay, so please don't panic, don't get frantic. Just calmly acknowledge, okay, I'm sorry, I don't know. I will just go and find out. Okay? And that brings us to the end of this part 3 lesson on lesson delivery. It's a very short lesson because it's really more about practicing hands-on. And I would suggest that for everybody who's actually trying to become a better instructor, speaking in front of a mirror or even recording a video of you teaching a lesson will be the the best kind of feedback that you can receive. In fact, if you ever see a video of yourself teaching, I'm sure many of you, in fact, when I did so a long time ago for myself, when I saw the video of me teaching, I had a very, very bad cringe because it looked so much worse than I thought I was doing. And so if you have the chance, get a friend to record a video. I mean, mobile phones are now quite a lot of them are equipped with so-called video cameras. Ask them to take a video and look at it. I promise you, you'll be in for a surprise. Right, once again, thank you. This concludes the Method of Instruction course for the Advanced Non-Commissioned Officer course for St. John's Zone 10, Singapore. Any questions, please go ahead and proceed and talk to your instructors and mentors, and I believe they can answer any questions